Fantastic. Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Coming to you from Edge Home Finance. I am super pleased to have a great friend, Shamiah Thorpe from TK's team at EXP.
Yeah, very excited to be here.
Thank you very much for coming on as our Realtor of the Week.
Thank you. I'm really honored, first and foremost, to be here, and I'm just glad I've been noticed and doing enough in the business to be noticed and have a spotlight like this.
No, it's great. I got so much respect for Taylor and his team.
Yes.
You know, whether it's Tyler. Oh, by the way, TK, I don't have any hat, no garb, bud, so you got to amp up your game if you want some self-promotion. But anyways, I am pleased to have one of your team members on here, and knowing her as well as I do, it's amazing. You're going to be excited to learn about this lady. So thank you very much for coming.
Thanks. Yes.
So tell us a little bit about how you got into this wonderful world of real estate. I mean, did you grow up here?
Yep, I'm Minnesota born and raised, and real estate was not something I ever kind of saw on my agenda. As a little kid in like elementary years, I wanted to be a teacher, and then in high school, it went to wanting to be a nurse.
Yeah.
But while I was actually in high school, I started a position as a teller at a bank at 17. So worked in that bank for 6 years, got promoted to branch manager by the time I was 21. So
Good for you.
Thank you. And I really thought that was kind of like my end all, and I was just going to end up there. But then we kind of went through a couple mergers, and there was just some culture change and company changes that weren't quite aligning with what I saw as a long-term end. So I ended up leaving and kind of just taking a little hiatus of like, okay, I'm going to take a month or two to figure out what it is I want to do, and looked at a few different things. Actually got a couple other job offer acceptance letters, and I was still just kind of like, I feel like it's just going to be that same environment. So I actually ended up going out with my old boss from banking, and she's like, have you kind of found anything yet? And I'm like, no. And she's like, why don't you go into real estate? And I'm like, what? So, I mean, for me at first, I thought that I had absolutely no idea of what I was doing, but a lot of that banking background definitely applies into real estate. So it's been a perfect fit, and I don't think I'll go back to anything else.
You know, and I know you came from Chris Lindahl's team.
Yes.
Right? Which is a tremendous experience learning-wise. TK and the group at EXP, what I've learned about them is their systems are so solid. And how did that go? I mean, when you first met TK, and how did the interview go?
So, you know what's funny is when I first met TK, I was kind of still in that mindset of like, nope, I'm figuring out, I'm just getting my feet wet. So kind of politely told him like, get out of here. And then, as I was growing as an agent, he ended up reaching out again, kind of just perfect time to help me create a business plan. And that was something that I was definitely lacking at that time in my career. So that was like I was like, okay, if this guy's willing to do this and have it all laid out for me, this is where I need to be. So ever since then, it's just been streamlined. I mean, like you said, the systems are so solid. He makes everything so smooth. So
what I've learned from these guys, and I've had all three of them on here.
Yep.
And it's so cool because I get the pleasure of learning from the top of the cream of the crop, right? And I learned from them, right?
Yeah.
And so what I've admired about them is their personalities.
Yes.
Right? They're welcoming, and a lot of people would have just said, she said, no, I'm gone.
Right.
Yet consistent, persistent.
Exactly.
Famous words of real estate.
Exactly.
He followed up with you, and here you be.
Yep, here I am, and I've been with TK for a year now, and in that year I was just one deal shy of tripling my transaction count. So
Nice.
It has been insane, and I mean, really, obviously, we all get excited about the deals and the numbers part of thing, but for me, it's just knowing that I can provide a better experience for my clients based on, the skills and everything that I'm learning on the day-to-day. So that's huge.
What, speaking of which, tell me about their mentorship. I mean, you've got, because there's such a camaraderie amongst this team, and it's a big team.
It is.
What have you learned?
So the really cool thing that I think I'm taking the most advantage of right now is our script battles and our scripting. So obviously, as you know, snow's melting. We haven't really had that bad of a winter. Spring market is pretty much here already.
Right.
And so, I mean, having that experience of seeing, you know, what people are seeing out in the marketplace, what objections they're overcoming, what questions are clients answering. So now I'm not just learning in the moment of when I have situations pop up, I can already have something kind of in my toolbox hearing from other agents. So that's been huge.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
And you know, the biggest thing that I've learned through talking with people is the weakness skill is one, an ego.
Yep.
People have too big of an ego to want to learn.
Yes.
But two, they don't listen.
Exactly.
And then finally they don't do what they're told.
Yep.
Right? And so, you know, we've got Brady is a tremendous friend. I've had him on a
love
couple
Brady.
times, and Jake and him have the pod gods rolling. And, you know, what he basically says is real simple, especially at his age. Work the plan.
Exactly.
Consistently. If you get a closing, he goes a 7-digit deal. And he wanted to go just, okay, I'm done for the year, you know. But yet, because of that camaraderie you guys all got,
Yep.
kept consistent with it.
Exactly. And I think, like you said, consistency is the biggest thing. And that's probably one of our biggest things that we tie in on as a team is just staying consistent in all avenues. I mean, be consistent with your family and, you know, keeping that schedule and having that work-life balance. Stay consistent with your follow-ups and stay consistent with your after-closing plans. So just having all of those systems in place.
How do you keep balance? You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
this business is intense, right?
Yes.
I know from the mortgage stuff, I'm taking calls at 9, 10, whatever the case may be, weekends. How do you keep your life balanced?
Yeah, so I have to laugh a little bit because I was actually just talking to Jeff about this, and I am almost like, I'm pretty anal, for lack of better words, about like my time blocking, and I keep things color coded.
Nice.
So my iPad is my life. I put my personal life in there too. And not only am I putting like my personal events in there, but I actually send those, like if I have something going on, my partner sees my whole calendar. So he knows like, hey, your brother-in-law's trying to go fishing this weekend, but I can't because I have to be at an open house. So either you're going or I'm staying.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's been huge because then he knows, you know, when I'm available, when I'm not. We don't have those, well, shucks, I told you about this and now you can't go and I was really looking forward to you to be there. So I think that's huge too, is like you said, I mean, as real estate agents, as mortgage professionals, it's very easy for us to work 24 hours around the clock.
Right. Yeah.
So you kind of have to have that check and balance systems in place to make sure that, you know, we got into this field for that balance. So make sure you can get it somehow.
Do you? So you said is your partner in essence your accountability partner?
He is
Kinda?
he is in a sense. So usually I'll wake up in the morning and he gets up and is out for work by like 6:30.
Okay.
So he's making sure I'm not oversleeping.
Okay.
And then also too, it's huge because there's days where, you know, we might think, oh, well, let's just go and, you know, do a quick dinner or do this quick. And he's like, but wait, didn't you have this today? Are you
Yeah.
sure you didn't have this? So it's huge to have that in your everyday life too, because I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've thought I've had moments for lunch or things like that.
Right.
And then something pops up. So having someone else kind of have your calendar in their head is huge.
He's understanding.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, and so that's been good for you.
Yes.
So tell me about these script days. I mean, to me, is it just, you know, and I've seen them on video, you know, and so it's so fun.
Yeah.
So I'm taking this to the nth degree. You just go in and you read the script and then you sit down and you're bored stiff, man. These guys have fun with this, right?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
I absolutely love the script battles. Probably one of my favorite things about being on the team. And it's a really cool environment because it's almost it's more pressure than it is in the real world of how you feel saying, you know, what you would say to a client in front of 30, 40 other agents who have just as much, if not more experience than you. Right. So it's a ton of pressure. But the huge part about that is that with there being so many variations of agents in the room, now you get to hear the different ways of different personalities of how they would respond to things. And I mean, I know I'm a very bubbly, outgoing person. So one of the things that I always look at in my career is how to work with like like those A-type personality people and diet down a little bit. So it's huge to be able to take that from those to learn how to cater to my clients. But it's just a really fun environment. So we pick an objection, goes on the board, and two people kind of go head to head on that objection, and then we give each one of them feedback. So everyone gets to learn and, take tidbits from their businesses. And last week, we actually had a couple lenders stop by, and they even said, like, wow, there's some things that we kind of even see on the lending side of things, so where I could kind of take that back. So I think it's just really nice, like I said, to hear, those different outlooks and what people would say.
Well, now at least you got a number one level. I'm just saying.
Right.
Sorry, you guys. You're out. See you later. But so with those things, it's good though because it's constructive. Nobody's throwing grapes at you or anything else. It's
You're
all
not
a help.
Booed.
It's a helping environment.
Yes.
Yeah.
And everyone's there, like you said. It's fun. You have the opportunity to win $500,000. Everyone in the form of a $10 scratch off.
What?
So.
Yeah. Wait. Oh, yeah. Wow. I thought, dude, I'm joining this thing next week. When is it?
It's a really fun, lighthearted thing, but it's all crucial things that definitely play day to day in the business.
Yeah. And I think it's good, though, because we can all wing it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And I think many that aren't on a team wing it.
Yeah.
And it can be the foot and mouth syndrome where all of a sudden you get panicked and you're anxiety ridden. You've lived it.
Yeah, exactly.
You lived it and you've got some great experience on this team.
Yes. Yes.
What, so how many are on, I know Jeff, who I'm going to be interviewing as well. I'm super excited about that as well.
Yes, me too.
How has that been? I mean, is it hard what is your mo? Is it open houses? Is it dialing? Is it leads?
Yeah.
How do you get your business?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I am huge on open houses. So a part of what we did this past year with the team was diving into our business plan of not only, how are you going to create business, but what avenue of business works the best. And for me, I find that I typically do really well getting to be in front of the client right away.
Yeah.
I typically usually don't have problems speaking to people, as you can tell. So I just really like to kind of meet people face to face, introduce myself, let my personality shine for itself, and that usually, kind of does the trick for me. I don't have any problem, door knocking or cold calling or doing those things. Some people are really great at them.
Yeah.
But for me, I think my gold star is definitely in open houses.
Your personality is amazing.
Thank you.
Right? And what I enjoy about this is I also learn that you're extremely detail-oriented, which is critical for transactions.
Exactly.
It was funny in dealing with AJ, TK, Tyler.
Yep.
Their personalities are yours,
Yes.
right? Where you're just like this. But on the flip side, they've developed amazing businesses because of their details.
Exactly.
Because of their systems.
Yeah.
Your organizational skills have helped you be a realtor.
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, and that still comes from kind of the background I had in banking and not thinking, I do remember Chris Lindahl at one of the trainings. He said, I guarantee you almost everyone in here has some experience from a previous job that goes hand in hand with real estate. And I really think that's true, that no matter what background you come from, you probably have some type of ties to real estate that you're not even thinking go together.
I think your heart and your passion for this business sells you, right? Because, I mean, all of a sudden we're talking and you just come in and just that immediate bubbly personality, smile, lets you be you.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's probably one of the biggest things. So I know a lot of agents out there who are getting started really young, like Brady, for example, and he's an absolute killer. And I think Brady is definitely a testament for just being who you are, let your personality shine. I mean, you might come across those people who are like, oh, this guy's too young, I don't know if I trust him, but maybe those aren't the people that you want to work with at the end of the day. So I think just letting your personality shine and honestly staying true to who you are is the most authentic way to be successful in real estate.
How important, because you brought up a great point,
Yeah.
you don't win every offer.
Exactly.
You don't win every client.
Yep.
There's plenty of ways to get your ass kicked in this business.
Exactly.
Right?
More often than not.
Yeah. I mean, let's just be realistic. I mean, that's the crazy thing about this thing, and I'm going to deviate a little bit and talk about the lawsuits with commissions.
Yeah.
Is people don't think, you earn every penny you get.
Yeah.
And you don't get every penny you earn.
Exactly.
Right? And so how important has that team been for you when you do get beaten up, and are you, who do you call?
Yeah, it's huge. I can't tell you how many times I have lost multiple offers, or maybe, just had a client who didn't stay in touch. And for me, first joining the team, that was one of the biggest things that I learned from Taylor and Dylan is like, hey, you can't win them all. And there are certain personalities and certain, lifestyles and people that just won't mesh well with you. And that's okay.
Right.
So just for me, it's not taking things personal of, hey, if you think you have someone out there who's going to provide an experience that works well for you and is what you want, go and get that. I want you to have that.
Yeah.
So I think, and just for me, I've seen too that every time I do lose a client, I gain a friend. That next client isn't just a client. It's always, a friend that's like, hey, you're a rock star. I don't understand why anybody wouldn't want to work with you. So for me, I think cherishing those relationships are a lot more important than worry about the ones that you lose. Focus on what you can control.
Amen.
Yeah.
And let go.
Exactly.
Right? And move forward.
Yep.
How much, I know we talked about the mentorship with your team, which is amazing. Yes. Learning, what do you do? Because, obviously you've got a good number of years in the business. Are you constantly, are you reading? Are you an audible person? Are you go to conventions? How do you absorb?
I do it all. I just constantly live by always be learning. So I listen to at least a podcast every day, whether it's, a quick little 10-minute one or if it's an hour-long one, but I'm always listening to some type of real estate-related podcast. We have our Fast Forward Movement masterminds at EXP, which is our national group across the whole country. So, that's huge to be able to learn, to see, what are people doing in California? What are people doing in Miami?
Yeah.
So just learning, everything I can about real estate at my own pace, because I feel like when I first got into the industry, not knowing anything, I tried to get it all as quick as I can.
Right.
And then you just lose so much from, just the overflow of information that you're obtaining. So for me, it's just, whether it's a quick 5-minute phone call that Taylor's on with the client and I hear a tidbit of like, hey, I've never said that before. What were you guys talking about? What was the context of that? So, being in the office is huge because there's been so many times where him or Dylan or Andreas is, they're learning so many different things, and to be able to hear those again, it's just huge. And then I am a huge reader too. So I always read. I always am listening to podcasts. And I think sometimes people get caught up in where do I start? Start with what you think is fun. If you're a numbers person and you like to see what the market did versus last year to this year, start with that. If you like to read, start with that. If you like to drive and you like to listen to stuff, start with that. But it's never going to be something that you're always doing unless you make it fun for yourself.
And honestly, it never stops, right?
Exactly.
That's the other thing you'll realize. I love the fact that he brought up the office, right? Because everyone's like, oh, gosh, I like working virtual. I like working from home. I like working at Caribou's. What is the value of being in that office? You talked about how much you learn. I love it. I'm in this office, and I learn from the best. Jake being my best friend, he teaches me so much about all this stuff and motivates me and pushes me. We've got the best LOs in the country here. And so that's helpful. How about you?
Yeah. And for me, so in our office, I think we do things a little bit differently, which I think is cool because we all have these whiteboards with, who we're working with, where they are in the process. So now not only am I my own accountability partner, but I have 9 other agents who see these people. And it's like, hey, you've been working with these clients for a few months now and they've been in the same spot. Is there anything we can do to help you help them? What does that look like? And for specific example. Last year when I first joined the team, I joined in December, so still kind of getting on the underboard and learning the systems. And I was in the office one day, and I had written an offer on a place that had 19 of the other offers, so we were one of 20. And I got the text back from the listing agent once I submitted mine, like, hey, just to let you know, there are 19 others on the table. We don't have a highest and best yet, just, keeping you in the loop. And I told Taylor, I'm like, how the heck am I supposed to get any context about where I need to be? And Taylor was literally able to walk me through all of that in the office, and we ended up winning that deal. So,
nice.
I mean, that was huge for me, of one of the first instances of like, okay, just being here is enough.
Well, and that's, the other thing that's unique about a team, TK specifically, but also EXP, is it's an environment of helping others.
Yes.
Right? Because oftentimes we get into this mode where we're concerned about us.
Exactly.
And so I love the fact that you get that input from 9 different people, or as many as you need to.
Exactly. And just to touch on that a little bit, I mean, we were just at a training a couple months ago with the DeRochers, who has been a consistent top 10 EXP team. And I mean, they're great. And Dan and Julie are wonderful.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to be able to, hey, Dan or Julie, do you guys have any open houses that, you guys need coverage for that I could host? Or, seeing what they're doing. I mean, I can't even tell you how many agents are grossing at least $1 million, in volume a month. And so to learn from those agents who have been in the business 10, 20 years and get that at 2 years, I think is fundamental.
Their personalities are amazing.
Yes.
Unfortunately, they visited Florida during the coldest time. I'm like going, sorry, but their hearts are good.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because they have been so successful. And again, that gets back to that ego thing.
Yes.
Mike Bernier, a great friend of mine, said the biggest hindrance in real estate is ego.
Absolutely.
And not listening.
Yep.
And so I applaud those two for sharing with you guys, because you're learning from the best in the country.
Exactly.
When you're dealing with those guys.
Exactly.
Give me a couple tidbits that you talked about winning a listing, but what are some other pieces that other agents have helped you with to make you better?
Yeah. So again, I would say that scripting has been probably one of the biggest things. And secondly, another thing that has been really big for me is just implementing a showing process, which again, something that I never really thought about. And I think, as real estate agents, we do things once, and then it's like, okay, well, this works, so we'll just keep on doing it until it doesn't.
Right.
So, I mean, for me, it's like, okay, well, what have you guys tried that hasn't worked so that I don't try that also? So again, I mean, being able to get that, and then I would say the other biggest thing is just accountability is huge.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if I have, clients that, okay, we expected to get this listing signed and it hasn't. Hey, what's going on? How can we help you, get that? Or what can we do to navigate that? So, I mean, I would say all of it, as far as the systems and just the mentorship, it's all been fundamental. And just having someone there and actually seeing your growth and helping you track your growth is probably the biggest thing I can say I've had from them.
You talked about the showing presentation.
Yes.
Right? I think for the layperson, and we're dealing with 950 realtors, so they all get it.
Right.
But I think from the layperson or the buyer, the seller, et cetera, what do you mean the showing process? So you just walk them through the house and you got your video thing going, and here's the bathroom, here's the bedroom.
Right.
But there's an art to it.
There is. And I mean, too, there's common questions that get asked. I mean, obviously, we all know there's the disclosure and there's the information about the roof and, the furnace and things like that. But one thing I key and pride myself in is, I know some agents do, some don't, but I try to make it to every single inspection I can. Just because I'm not an inspector. So there's always going to be something from that inspection that I can take away to where, hey, if I can look at this and maybe see that and stop my client from having to go under contract on a property with major defects, save them the $400 to $600 on that inspection. Again, that just ties into creating a better 6-star experience for my clients, and that's all I want at the end of the day.
It's super cool. We just had Ashley on, who's a transaction coordinator.
Yes.
Right? And I think the more you can meet with these people,
Yes.
lender, inspector, transaction coordinator,
Yes.
to learn that end of the business too as well. Title. Title's a prime example.
Yes.
Because they deal with all this stuff. They know the hiccups.
Exactly.
But that's what I applaud you for, is that you're a learner.
Thank you.
And you're humble, and your smile is just priceless. You know what I mean? So I appreciate that. Give me some. We talked about you asking agents what they've done that hasn't worked or has worked. Give me 2 pieces of advice that agents have taught you, whether it's winning listings, open house presentation, whatever it is, that have, I hate saying made you money, but made you money.
Exactly. No, that's a great question. So I would say my biggest thing has definitely been with open houses and just my process around when people are in and how to navigate that. So typically, obviously you have, your buyer, they walk in, and obviously greeting them, but I think sometimes, you have those people that come in a little bit guarded almost.
Yeah,
so
right,
then you're
right.
like, okay, well, I don't want to, interact with them too much. Or you get someone where, they have a great conversation with you and then they're like, oh yeah, but I'm going to use my friend and my friend's an agent. Well, my biggest thing is, well, I totally understand that, Mr. Buyer. I've had a lot of clients who have felt the same way, but what they found is that meshing that business relationship with that friendship of seeing your finances and seeing everything just kind of gets a little bit too personal.
Yes.
To where you don't want an awkward Thanksgiving or Christmas with that friend or family member because of a real estate transaction. So why not save that and use an outside third party? And I think that's been huge, because a lot of the times people realize, like, maybe I don't want my best friend to see, all of my personal finances and things, because it is a little bit sensitive information.
Of course, we see it on the financial end a lot.
Exactly.
I know where you shop.
Exactly.
but I think that's a great rebuttal.
Yep.
Because what I think that, from my perspective, is you're taking that free cookie that they just took and you're taking it away. Get the hell out of the house, you know. But I love the way that positive spin.
Yep.
That you've taken from that, because you learned how to do that.
Exactly.
Yeah. What closing? You go to your closings.
Yes.
How is that experience for you?
Closing is probably my favorite part. And I know a lot of realtors are like, well, that's when we get paid. Well, no, that's when the clients get to move in and they actually feel like they're done with this process. So one of my favorite jokes around closing is like, hey guys, once you're done signing your life away, now you actually get to enjoy the fun part and move into your house and see all your dreams come true.
Yeah.
So I love staying in touch with my clients after closing, seeing what renovations they've done, seeing how they've moved in and make the house their own. That's truly my favorite part. That's why I'm in it, is just for the experience of my clients.
There'll be repeat clients.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's what you spelled out there, is client over paycheck, which if you don't have that mindset, you're toast.
Exactly.
Right? But the notes, the friendships that you're developing, just beyond a deal.
Exactly.
That's what this business is all about. John Shamiah, we just interviewed, been in the business for 40 years. His best friends are clients and realtors because of this business.
That's awesome.
You're in a beautiful industry.
Yes.
You've got a team that is amazing.
Yes.
TK, that's too many props for you, buddy.
Yeah,
but it's
he's
all
not
good.
used to me talking nice about him, Mike, so we might have to cut some of this out.
Nah, it's all with respect, and that's I appreciate you guys all. Thank you for being our Realtor of the Week.
Thank you for having me.
You are your personality and your attention to detail and your passion for the business becomes so obvious.
Yes.
And that's why you rock.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Realtor of the Week. Ba-boom. She goes by Maya. But feel free. We're going to put all our information on. Obviously, Jake will be editing this, putting all the information on there. Please feel free to give her a buzz.
Yes.
I think one of the things of our industry is, how do we all help one another as an industry become better? this lady is who you want to connect with,
Yes.
become friends with, use, and, just learn from her. So thank you very much. I
Thanks
appreciate
again,
you.
Mike.
Yep. Thank you guys all for being here. Without you, we aren't who we are. So invite your realtor friends to join Realtor Connect. We got an Instagram group, Realtor of the Week, and then also a YouTube channel, Realtor of the Week, separate words. Thank you all. Have a good Wednesday. Peace.